KHL Man of the Year. 500 pro fights in his career. Got the record for most ice fights in a season. You fought the sheriff, lucky you're still breathing. The sheriff, KHL Man of the Year. 500 pro fights in his career. Got the record for most ice fights in a season. You fought the sheriff, lucky you still filmed the pod today. You listening tomorrow. The heavyweight champ, yeah, Sean McMahon. 13-year pro, yeah, he holding it down. Big man playing it right, thumbs up to the crowd. Let's go. Rookie season suited it up, most tilts in the A, man. Sheriff badge on the bucket, heavy can play, man. Podcast trending, thanks for rocking with us, bro. Lived out his dream, yeah, he played in the show.
Welcome everybody to an exclusive edition of The Sheriff. Boy, oh boy, do I ever have a treat for you. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I played the majority of my career in the AHL. It's only because I thought that was so funny, man. I gotta start this. What was the chat? Okay, you know what? No. You know what? Let's keep this going. Ladies and gentlemen, I played the majority of my career in the AHL. Now, this is a league where divisional teams can play each other up to 12 times. One season of my career, the Rochester Americans and Syracuse Crunch played 19 times, ladies and gentlemen. 12 during the regular season, and then, of course, a 7-game series in the first round of the playoffs. By the end of the year, we were absolutely sick of each other. But, ladies and gentlemen, this is the perfect method for a rivalry between two tough guys. In my career, I had a lot of rivals in my lifespan, but one of them, Brandon Sugar Sugden, was my main rival in the AHL, and I'm going to introduce him right now. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls all over the world, I would like to introduce to you my guest tonight. He hails from Toronto, Ontario. At 6'4", 230 pounds, he is a heavyweight. He was drafted by the Toronto Maple Leafs in the 5th round in the 1996 Entry Draft. He is an alumni of the London Knights, Sudbury Wolves, and Barrie Colts. He is considered the best technical fighter and the most winning percentage in hockey fighting history. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, my main rival and new friend, Mr. Brandon Sugar Sugden. Now, Sugar, we do have a capacity crowd here at Bottomline, so just bear with the noise because it's very, very exciting today.
Yeah.
They will not be quiet, they said, ladies and gentlemen. I'm really excited to have you here, buddy, because it's rare that I get to have a guest on my show that I have so many experiences with. And even right now, Brandon, even us looking at each other right now, like we're used to there being violence.
I know.
We look at each other's eyes, and for me, ladies and gentlemen, I'm telling you right now, what I just said in the intro about this guy being the best technical fighter, you could not make any mistakes facing this man. You had to have a very good sleep the night before. You had to have the perfect pregame meal, and you had to have every hydration in every part of your body to even give yourself an opportunity to do well against him. Brandon, how are you feeling right now, buddy? I know I'm very hyper right now. I apologize, but welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks a lot for having me, man. Yeah, you're right. I look at your face, and I want to punch it.
So, you know what? I totally understand, and I totally appreciate it. If I saw myself, I'd probably want to punch myself too, man. I'm loud, I'm obnoxious, you know, I'm smiling all the time. So I know I totally get it, man. But I know what you mean. Like we had the same job. We had pretty much like the same passion for the game, I believe. From what I've heard, Brandon, like I have a good friend, Dan Sullivan. I was talking to you about him the last time we had our show. And the thing with me and Sully is we lived with each other every summer after the seasons were done. And he had so many old London Night Boys stories that I felt like I knew you guys, like you, John Erskine, Chris Barch, Dan Jansevsky, all these guys from the London Knights that Sully would be nonstop talking about, I felt that I knew personally. Meanwhile, I'd never met you, only knew that I had to go to battle with you. So
Yeah.
I know the character that you are, Suggs, and like that's what we try to do. We try to bring big characters on this show.
Well, yeah, no, that's exactly what I mean. What the fans want to see, right? Like on the ice, they want to see the fights. They want to see goals. They want to see fights.
Absolutely.
That's what they want to see, and that's. I mean, yeah, you were my biggest rival, 100%, and we played each other. I don't know how many times. Fought. Oh,
we got a question from the crowd. How many fights between us? Well, just put it this way, Brandon. When we played each other, do you think there was games that we didn't fight? Let's make it easier.
One time when they put me on defense.
Okay.
One time.
But you know what? That's exactly what I was gonna say. I remember that game, Brandon.
Yeah, and it was in Rochester.
It was in Rochester.
Yeah.
I have this weird thing
Yeah.
with my memory. I remember these little details. I was scratched, man.
Oh,
I
you
don't know
got
if I was
scratched?
scratched or injured, but I wasn't playing. So I was a scratch. I don't know if it was healthy or not, but you know what? I think you might have taken on Ryan Jordy that night, maybe.
I think
No,
that,
you and Jordy was in Syracuse.
It was in Syracuse.
Yeah, that's right.
Syracuse.
That's right.
Yeah,
See,
yeah.
it's
hell of a
amazing
tilt.
the things that we can remember, man. It's amazing. People think that our memories might be lost after battles like that, but no. But now,
Most of mine is, but I remember the fun times.
yes, exactly. So, Brandon, my style is with the big characters. I like to try to find out how this came about. How did this guy that was so dominant on every level, every teammate loving him in the dressing room, every coach saying that, oh, he's my favorite, how did guys like this develop? So I like to go to the beginnings. Now, I know that you're a Toronto guy.
Yeah.
Where did you grow up? And where did you go to school, like in elementary school?
Elementary, I was actually in like Shelburne area, like north when I was really young. But then when I got older, I grew up King of Bathurst, right downtown. I went to Central Tech
Right on.
high school.
Give it up for
Central Tech, yeah.
Gotta give a shout out.
Yeah.
Gotta give a shout out. We always remember where we came from.
Yeah, Central Tech, and then I just from there, from Central Tech, drafted by London, and then lived there. The rest is history, basically. Yeah, and I live in the States for the last 13 years after that, and so
All over. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, I appreciate you sharing that, Brandon, but I can't let you get off that easily, brother, because there's just too much good juice to find out. And what I mean by that is, like, I'd like to talk about, like, your upbringing, because I know that you were in combat sports while you were young, starting with hockey, like boxing, and I believe wrestling. But I'd really like for you to talk about your father as well, because I know that, like, that's a big, important part of your life, and I'd love for the viewers and listeners to hear about it.
Yeah, well, my dad actually was a boxer. He was a trainer. He sparred with Muhammad Ali back in '67. Yeah. He sparred with him, and I think it was '67, 44 Chevalo.
No way.
Yeah, this boxing glove was given to me by Chevalo. So
Wow.
he's a family friend, and so he started me boxing at like 6.
Wow.
So I was going to turn pro at 15, 16, and then the hockey thing was. So I thought to myself, I could be the best in boxing and make a good living, or I could be a hockey player and be one of the best 100 and make a good living.
Yes.
So I decided to go the latter, but I could still do what I love to do the best. And my mother wouldn't have it either. She didn't want to have it because we had boxers over at the house all the time, like training and stuff. And so,
Right on.
So that's kind of where that was.
Now, and thank you for sharing that, brother. Now, I recently was going to have a show with a certain gentleman, and we had to reschedule it for a minor medical issue. But the gentleman's name is Spider Jones. And he's a really big deal to me, man. He was my first ever interview. He also was there for me at the lowest points of my life. And I know that you know Spider when you were a young lad. Like, do you mind telling some experiences about you and Spider Jones?
Yeah, me and Spider, He was just around the gym all the time, a Newsboys boxing gym. Him and my dad were great friends. We actually had a get together on a cruise ship for a charity event, and Spider was there, and he introduced me and everything. And no, he's just a great guy. Like I've known him since I could walk.
Wow.
You know, he was always at the house, and yeah. So
you know, the one funny thing about him is I should say the one thing about him is how funny he is. And when I did have him on my show, I was able to have my nephew Riley McMorrow ask him the first question, because it was a Zoom show, and he asked, you know, Spider, why is your name Spider? So his response was, it's because my wife says I'm such a bug. I'm always bugging her. So I figured that might bring back the kind of personality that Spider was, because I'm assuming that you probably haven't seen the man in a while.
The last time I saw him was probably like 4 years ago on that boat.
Right on, man.
That was the last time I saw him.
Right on.
But a great guy, just an absolutely great guy.
No, and thanks for sharing that, buddy. So now back to your pops, though. Like, so you're a pretty big dude, Brandon. So like, how big is your dad?
My dad was 6'4". His fighting weight was about mine, like 235.
Right on. So about the same. You guys are the same size.
About the same size.
Right on.
He might have been a little thicker, but I mean, when I was training, I like that one year I got up to 256 when I was in Russia.
Yeah.
He's I think we'll probably get to that.
We'll get to Russia. We'll definitely get to Russia. This I gotta point out this extraordinary crowd today. I'm very happy with the crowd today. I'm very, very happy. Yes.
Shout out to the crowd.
So
Yay.
now, Brandon, I wanted to touch up a little bit on still, because we're in that age with minor hockey. So did you play in the MTHL?
Yeah, I played.
Who'd you play for?
Played with the Red Wings all the way up. Yeah, and then I went with the Marlies for a year.
Right on.
Wexford for a year, and then back with the Red Wings. We won 3 city championships.
No way.
Yeah,
Okay.
we won.
I gotta give credit for that.
Yeah.
You know what? I only won one. I only won one city championship with Don Mills. So you're a triple.
Don Mill.
Triple
I used
champ.
to hate playing Don Mill. I hated that arena.
Imagine we were the same age.
Oh yeah, I hated that arena.
Lifelong rivalry.
But yeah, but we won 2 silver stick championships as well.
Wow. Okay.
And then the Quebec tournament, you know, the big
Oh,
Quebec.
whoa,
Yeah. So we lost our first game, so we didn't get to play in the Coliseum anymore. We had to play in the Little Rink. But then we went undefeated, so we won consolation.
No way.
But we never got to play against. Because the first game, I mean, we're like kids, we're all skating around, and we're just like looking around. And guy goes, no, Jacko wasn't on that team.
Hey, man. So I don't know if you're psychic or whatever, but I always ask about the Pee Wee tournament if I know a player has played in it. And that was what was coming up. The thing I have to ask about that, I really like the way that you explained that. Obviously you feel that was your first experience under the big lights, under the big show. What seeing all those people, Brandon, like you just explained, like for me, I couldn't get over it, man. That changed everything for me. Did you look at hockey different after that?
I really did, and it was almost like my first game in the OHL. It was like people actually paying to see you play.
Yep.
I mean, they didn't pay.
Yeah, you gotta give credit where credit's due.
Yeah, but I mean, you didn't have to pay to watch the Pee-Wee tournament, but it was like playing in front of that many people. It was like, wow, could I really do this for a living? Like this, so I worked harder and harder and harder and harder. And then
Absolutely.
when I got in the O, it was like, man, people are paying to watch me play.
Yeah.
And you know, in some games there's 10,000 fans, and usually you're just playing in front of your parents. And yeah.
Absolutely. Yes, we got another question from the crowd.
Brandon's loss record in Ontario Hockey League fights is probably pretty low.
We were just asked about Brandon's win-loss record in the Ontario Hockey League. Well, I'll tell you one thing. His win-loss record in pro is the best of all time, in my mind. DropYourGloves.com will support that. The best winning percentage in hockey fighting history. So I think Junior might have been okay too. I think it might have been okay too.
I want to ask about his first fight in the
For it wasn't the OHL. It was a rookie tournament for the Scouts. And in my first fight ever, I got one punched.
Okay, so all right, so
I got one punched.
just so for the viewers and listeners, we had a question about his first fight. So you're saying that your first hockey fight was when? What team were you playing for?
I was playing for the Red Wings midget, and
Wow.
I was fighting Johnny Agristopoulos. We should call him Johnny Anabolic.
Yeah.
'Cause he was just a monster, and I got completely KO'd. First fight ever in my life, KO'd on the ice. And I remember sitting there looking up the ref, and I'm like, what happened? And the ref was like, you just got knocked the F out.
Jeez. Well, I mean,
My
If-
immediate question to that was, what happened a few weeks later when you faced each other again?
Well, I beat the living.
okay, so you did get your revenge on
I got
on
my
that.
revenge. It wasn't
Right
the
on.
next couple of weeks, but it was I got my revenge on him.
Right on. So I wanted to change things up a little bit. I wanted to, we mentioned the OHL a couple times. We're both London Knights alumni. I wanted to talk about Gary Agnew. I wanted to talk about the London Knights. And I also wanted to talk about how you found out, what the recruiting process was like for the draft with London.
London, it wasn't really like that much of a recruiting process. It's not like they came and talked to us or anything. It was kind of like this wasn't like the NHL ones, where you go in and you talk to them. But bar down, hands down, Gary Agnew, best coach I've ever had in my life. He's a player's coach. Yeah.
Shout out to Gary Agnew.
Gary Agnew. Best,
Sully's a big fan of his as well.
Yeah, best players coach in the world. I remember there was one time I thought I'd be smart, and I got up really early, and our practices were 10:30 in the morning. Got to be there at, if you're 5 minutes early or 10 minutes late. So I showed up at 8, thinking I'm gonna. And as I'm walking in, the trainer looks at me and he's like, man, you better get down there. I'm like, what do you mean get down there? He's like, you don't remember? We have a meeting at 7:45.
Ooh.
And I was like, oh, yeah. So I run downstairs, and soon thing, I walked in the door. Ags looks at me. He's like, Sugar, you're fine, $100. And that was it.
I love the stash on the guy, man. Did he always have the stash?
He always had the stash.
So was he known for that or what?
Yeah,
It was a cool stash, man.
Yeah, as long as I've known him, he's had the stash. We used to have our Thanksgiving parties at his place. One time, the steam cooker exploded with a turkey because someone put it in when it was frozen. So anyway.
Right on. So I know that there was a couple seasons in London. Just sticking with the timeline, I'd like to talk about the NHL draft. I mean, we're here in downtown Toronto. You were drafted by the Toronto Maple Leafs, the 5th round, 1996. Seems like a long time ago, eh?
Oh, I know.
Right?
Where did the time go?
Now, I know that you did well. I did my research, and I think I may have talked to you about this the last time we talked, but the Toronto Maple Leafs seem to think that you got the nickname Sugar from their training camp.
No.
There was I know, I want you to tell us, but just so you know, the Toronto Maple Leafs have articles, like the editors that cover the Leafs. Yeah. There's articles saying that this guy, Brandon Sugden, was weaving and bobbing so good that we just had to call him Sugar.
Yeah.
So they're trying to be responsible for this incredible nickname. No. Do you mind telling us how you really got it?
Yeah.
Was it Worcester?
It was Worcester.
It was Worcester.
It was Steve Plow, Larry Plow's son. And you remember the girl skating trainer, Marianne?
Yes. Yeah. Mary.
Yeah.
Scary Mary.
Scary Mary. Yeah. So I wanted to get off the ice quick. And Steve was like, Sugar, or Brandon, get over here. And he's like to Marianne, this is our Sugar Man. meaning this is our fighter,
yeah.
and it just stuck. And there was kids that would come up to me and say, "Hey, Brandon Sugarden."
So they actually
They thought my name was Sugarden.
Right on.
But yeah, that's how I got it from Steve Plow, Larry Plow's son, assistant coach of Worcester.
Shout out to Steve Plow. Yeah, that's a
Steve
great
Plow.
story, man.
Yeah.
That's a great story.
Yeah.
So now I know that a lot of guys in hockey have nicknames, but there's very few of us where the nicknames stick with us, man. And you're that stuck since then. How old were you? Probably around 20.
I was 20. Yeah.
Like that's like, man, that's absolutely incredible.
You want to hear something funny though?
Yes, I absolutely do.
When I was in Dayton, they actually sold badges, and they called me Brandon the Sheriff.
No way!
Yes, they did it.
Are you
They
hearing
sold-
us, ladies and gentlemen?
they
Right on. So
sold badges.
not only is he sugar, but he's the sheriff as well. Hey, man, you deserve it. Buddy. You deserve it. So, I wanted to get in. I mentioned I started talking about the NHL draft. You know, and then we got into the nickname because the Leafs are claiming that they're responsible for this incredible nickname. Now, I want to finish off with that first, then I'm going to get into something else. So, first of all, where were you when you got drafted? Did you go to the draft, or did you stay at home?
yeah.
So you were at the draft. Where was your draft?
St. Louis.
St. Louis, Missouri.
Me and Rick Jackman went together. Me and Jacko went together.
Wow. So,
Yeah.
can you repeat that? Who's that?
Rick Jackman.
Rick Jackman. Right on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome. So that's cool, man. So, like, that must have been. Did you go? Like, was it just you two, or did the family go down as well?
It was just us two that we went together.
Cool, buddy. Right
It
on.
was hot as hell. Holy.
It was hot.
Oh,
It's the
it was-
end of June, St.
Yeah,
Louis, Missouri.
June 9th or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Oh.
So I guess not the end of June.
Brandon got a little warmer than Jacko did because Jacko
Yeah.
went 5.
We got a rowdy crowd tonight at Bottomline. So, what was it like that night in St. Louis, Brandon? Now, meanwhile, this is a long time ago, so no one's getting in trouble here. So, but did you guys party it up that night? Was it pretty cool, fun night?
Well, you know, it's
Special.
It's kind of funny because I was the second pick in the 5th. Toronto had 2 picks to that round, and they drafted Peter Cava first. by
Okay.
Toronto, right?
Yeah.
And then they drafted me the next pick with 111.
Okay.
So I go down, all excited, and they open up the box, and there's no jerseys.
Oh.
But Cava's still there. So they said, Peter, take the jersey off. He's like, okay. Took it off, gave it to me. I put it on, took the picture. And then he's like, okay, take the jersey back. I'll give it to Cava. We'll mail you one.
So what about, that's hilarious, but what about the 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th? They didn't get anything. They didn't have a chance.
No, they had
Same
nothing.
thing,
Nothing.
someone-
Yeah.
Cava, get that shirt again.
Hey,
Cava, get that shirt one more time.
Cava, sit at the table.
Just stay here with us.
And then so we all go to the bar that night, and everybody who got drafted are wearing their draft jerseys. I'm the one guy that isn't, and the girl's like, "You didn't get drafted. You don't have a jersey." I'm like, "Well, okay. The story is." Yeah.
For the team that is worth the most in North American sports or whatever it is, like that's weird that they didn't have jerseys.
I know. They had a lot of picks in that draft, so they ran out of jerseys. I don't know.
Right on, man. So, I mean, talking about the Maple Leafs isn't as exciting as about what we're going to get into right now. So now I want to get to the point where Gary Agnew, again, Gary keeps coming up. I hope Gary watches this. Gary Agnew is running the program for the Syracuse Crunch. I believe he was the GM and the coach. I don't know. I guess you could tell me.
Yeah, no, he was.
He was the head coach.
He was the head coach. And then after they won, after Columbus did well, he became assistant coach with the Blue Jackets.
Right on.
And yeah.
Right on. So now, Gary Agnew is responsible for bringing Brandon Sugar Sugden into Syracuse. So now I was thinking, now here we are in Rochester. There was Trevor Ettinger was there the year before. Okay. Now,
God rest his soul.
R.I.P. God bless his soul, Trevor Ettinger. Probably one of the toughest guys I also fought. Incredible character, incredible man. You came in the second year, and we're sitting in practice, and we're just like, man, Syracuse is already a powerhouse. Now they're bringing in this guy, Brandon Sugar Sugden. We're like, Jesus, what's up with Gary Agnew?
Did you know who it was at that point?
Yeah, another question from the crowd.
Did you know who Brandon Sugar Sugden was at that point?
Absolutely. I've known about Brandon Sugar Sugden because we're both OHL guys. I heard stories from when I was a teenager about this guy. So I knew a lot about him. And I'll tell you what, I was excited for the challenge, but I knew that there was going to be absolutely no nights off, man. Absolutely no nights off at all. It was going to be a battle right to the end.
I remember our first fight.
Yeah,
Right in front of the net in between the thingies.
That's right.
In Rochester.
That's right.
Yeah.
So now I want to get into that team in Syracuse. Like, you guys were a pretty close knit group.
Yeah, oh yeah.
You guys
Right.
did well, like in the win-loss record. What was the furthest? Do you remember the furthest that you guys went with that Syracuse Crunch team?
First round. You guys.
That was the furthest.
Norm Millie.
Norm Millie. Shout out to Norm Millie. man.
Short to Norm.
You
What's
played
up,
with
Norm?
Norman Sudbury?
I played with Norm Sudbury, and he's a Red Wing alumni.
Oh, that's
So,
right, man. He's Mr. Red Wings, that guy.
Yeah,
Norm Millie, if you're listening out there, buddy, hopefully you're doing well, man. You're an
Yeah.
awesome dude.
Yeah, no,
I like Billy more than Malhotra. Straight up.
Yeah, no, I remember it too because they dressed him, Sean.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't dress me, and the fans were cheering, "Where's Sugden?
That's right,
Where?"
that's right.
Because he was running amok.
Yep. Cunnyworth.
out there, and look what you're supposed to do in our. No one was.
Dressed like you just
No.
do whatever the fuck you wanted.
You could do whatever you want.
There was usually no takers other than me for him. My teammate Ryan Jordy did it once. No one else would even dare to. We had guys like Paul Gosted. We had Andrew Peters, his older brother Jeff Peters. Those guys were super tough, but they wouldn't put themselves in that type of position.
Yeah.
So okay. So first round was Syracuse. Right on.
Yeah, and then I remember it like it was yesterday. It was down at the far end where I was sitting, and Nora Millie came over the blue line, took a slap shot, went top cheese, and we lost. We
That's
lost
it.
3 in a row. We were up 4-1, and we lost 3 in a row.
Jeez, I remember that.
Five in
Cunnyworth.
a row. 4, whatever it was. But yeah, but everybody was saying like, "Where's Sugden? Where's Sugden?
Yep.
Where's Sugden?" And I'm like, "Yeah, like put me in."
Where is Sugden? Dun, dun, dun. Where is Sugden?
Yeah.
I remember it clearly. Randy Cunnyworth believed that we were going to go with our group that we went with in the season. And because I was an every game player, he put me in. There was even controversy within our own team because there was like goal scorers and stuff being put out. I was only getting 2-3 minutes a game.
Yeah,
right. But I was there for the presence. And you weren't put in, and the crowd wanted you so bad that they started that chant. Man.
Yeah.
It was really loud chant
In
Syracuse. The Syracuse crowd would not accept the fact that I was playing and he was not. They wanted to see an even matchup. They didn't like it that it was like that. So.
And especially because he was running amok. He was running amok.
Cunny told me, he's like, Sugar's not here. You can do whatever you want. Just run everybody. Like, you know what I mean? Gary would probably say the same thing to him.
Yeah.
So now that we're into kind of like this kind of fighting type of talk, I want to give the viewers and listeners an opportunity to hear straight from the mouth of a member of the toughest starting lineup in hockey history, which was the Saint Jean Chiefs. Chiefs. How did they say the name? Did they say Chiefs?
Saint Jean.
Chiefs de Saint Jean.
Saint Jean Chiefs.
Saint Jean Chiefs.
Saint Jean
Okay,
Chiefs.
so Mr. Brandon Sugar Sugden, which was a member of this starting lineup. Let's go over these names here. Okay, so who would you like to start with here?
Garrett Burnett.
Okay, so Garrett Burnett.
God rest his soul.
God bless his soul as well.
Yeah. Matthew Robbie.
Matthew Raby, who looks like Arnold Schwarzenegger in his prime.
Yeah, he really
do you
does.
agree?
Oh, for sure.
Okay.
For sure. He was Steve Bossy. Who I
Steve,
know.
the Boss Bosse, or Steve the Crash Bosse.
Yeah.
Has like a 10-1 UFC record currently.
Yeah, I know. He's one of the hardest punchers I've ever seen in my life.
So, okay, so yeah, you said Bosse is the hardest puncher?
The hardest puncher I've ever seen.
Yes. Let me add to that. Bosse is the one guy that has TKO'd me. Bosse TKO'd me. I hit my head on the ice, got a concussion, and it's really like Sugar, like we had battles. I'm sure we both got hurt, but like we didn't really get hurt in our fights.
No.
We were able to recover within a couple days. Okay, we got a lot of bruising from toe to toe, side of the head. Okay, my shoulders hurt, my elbow, my wrist. You know what I mean? But we never really had like injuries where we were out from fighting.
Yeah.
But your boy Bosse, man, that guy put me down. Like I learned so much from that. I couldn't believe that it happened, and it changed my career. But yeah, let's go on with this list.
Yeah.
So we got Burnett, we got Rabi, we got Bosse. We got Sugar right here.
Yeah.
And who's the missing piece here?
This is actually him and Link Gates, the two toughest guys I ever fought in my life.
What journey there that year?
That was Patrick Cote.
Okay, so Patrick Cote, who led the NHL in fights, I think, more than once.
Yeah.
Okay.
The most scariest. I had a fight with him one time. I think it was our third fight. It was my first year in the LNAH. And we're going for a good minute. And fights, like a minute doesn't seem that long, but it's a long time. And so it might have been maybe 45 seconds. And we break apart, and then we line up again. And I'm out of breath. And he's looking at me. Doesn't even have his mouth open. And he's cut open over the eye, and he's not even breathing hard. And I'm like, oh, Lord, I'm in trouble.
Who do you think was bigger, Cote or Rabi?
Well, bigger in size when Cote was doing Cote
in his prime.
Cote. But Rabi was all natural. Like he was.
Rabi is natural.
Yeah, he was natural.
Rabi is natural.
He was natural. From what I know.
That's incredibly impressive.
Yeah.
Rabi had a style where he used his strength to his advantage. I don't want to say held on because it's not. He would tie you up, boom, tie you up, boom. And
Yeah.
you couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
And like it was, but you're saying this guy's natural. That's the most impressive thing I think I've ever heard.
He's one of the hardest workers.
Wow! Shout out to Matthew Rabi, buddy. I thought
Rabi.
you were doing big time supplements back then, buddy. That's impressive, man. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
Okay, so now, Brandon, I mean, man, I apologize for all the talk. I'm a big fan of yours, bro. I'm a rival, but I'm also a fan, and like that's why I enjoy asking all these questions. I gotta jump right to the KHL right now, just so we can cover it. I gotta get to the KHL, man. Now, but before we get to the KHL, I want to mention one more thing for the viewers and listeners. Now, there's a lot of stories and stuff about the LNAH, the Ligue de North Amerique de Hockey, right? There's a lot of stories about that. It's good to hear straight from the people that were in the league instead of like hearing different stories like that. But the one thing I want to point out, the reason why we went to this league, Brandon, me, you, Yuri Mushevsky, others, we were given incredible deals that we could not get anywhere else. This was at a time shortly after the lockout when the hockey rules have changed. They were grandfathering us out of the game, and here comes this league from Quebec that's calling us every single day, every single week. I'll give you X amount of dollar bonus. Okay, I'll give you X amount of dollar bonus. Okay, if you come now, we'll give you this. And it keeps going up and up and up. And you know what? It's really good to be wanted. There's a time that people aren't wanted anymore in the sports world. This was a time that we were wanted. Can you talk about how the Chiefs recruited you? And it was a long time ago. If you don't mind talking about the money, I'm sure the viewers and listeners would like to know the type of money that we were making back then.
Well, I think in the LNAH, they consider me the highest paid player there. But it kept on going up and up and up and up and up. But they would give me...
how much did you make in a season tax-free?
Tax-free, just chunks, and then I would get money for gas and stuff. But $150,000.
Okay, so $150 tax-free.
Tax-free U.S.
Playing in the LNAH.
and then they give me
Signing bonus?
Well,
When you first came?
the 150 was just like here's 50 grand. They do it 3 times in the year, and then they would give me like about 400 a week for travel, and because I would stay in Toronto.
Yes.
And
Didn't you stay in Syracuse the first year?
The first
and you would
year,
travel from
the
Syracuse
first
to
year,
Montreal?
The first year, and then I bought a house in Canada, so I would drive. It was about a 6-hour drive.
Right on.
So yeah, but it's a lot of money. I mean,
Yeah. Could we
it's a
have
lot
gotten
of
that
money.
anywhere else other than the NHL?
No, of course
Absolutely not.
not. No.
So we were given these opportunities. It was a very unique situation. This guy's team had 5 number 1 fighters.
I know.
You guys were all number 1s. The way that they would do these teams is they would rate the fighters 1 through 5. The 1s would fight the 1s, 2s fight the 2s. The Chiefs had all number 1s. So it was like, it was really difficult to play the Chiefs if you were one of those 5 of the opposing team. Yeah, so, I mean, overall, I think we kind of spent kind of similar times over there. You had a different time that you came in Verdun, which was way earlier in your career.
Yeah.
I remember seeing a fight between you and Joel Thériault, l'Animal, when you played in Verdun, man. When he was in his prime and it was as wild as ever, and you came into the league calm, cool, collective, and just went right up to l'Animal and said, "Yo, I'm the new guy in town, man." And you won that fight, man. See, this is the fan of me coming out. You won that fight. It was a terrible angle. Whoever had the video,
Oh, yeah, it was terrible.
you know the one I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know exactly.
So yeah, but man, that was something else. Okay, KHL, buddy. Let's hear a little
KHL.
bit about the K
Oh,
recruiting
Lord.
process. What it was like living in Russia.
It's a different world, honestly. The boss of our team was he did a legal thing. He sold guns, right? So
Yeah.
he had tons of money, and he had a place called the Village where there was like 2 entrances to get in there, and it was like a compound, and there was like 10 different houses. One was a sauna house, one was a clubhouse, one was a whatever kind of house, whatever this and
Yeah.
that. Guys walking around with submachine guns on their sides. First time I got picked up by the boss, the bodyguard had to body check the door because it was this much of glass, bulletproof glass.
No way.
Yeah, but there I was making good money too. I was
Yeah.
making $300,000 tax-free U.S.
Hey man, you
Yeah.
deserved it, buddy. You deserved
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And Brendan, I don't mean to cut you off. I just want to add to this point, and then I want you to continue. The thing is at that point of your career, I almost felt that, like, I mean, yourself, John Nasty Marasti, Trevor Gillies, all these guys are, I don't know if Yablonsky spent some time over there as well. It was almost like you guys were rewarded and were given money for paying your dues. And if these gangsters in Russia wanted to do that, so be it.
Yeah.
That's the way I looked at it.
Yeah.
That's the way I looked at it. I'm like, hell yeah, man. Those guys are playing in the KHL. Yeah.
Yeah. They wanted to talk to their friends and say, look who I got.
That's
You
it.
know?
That's it.
That
How
was
do you
the
think
thing.
that died out, bro? How come it died out? What happened?
Well, the main team that had the fighters was our team.
Okay.
And our boss, our owner, is in jail for life now. So that kind of
That's one reason.
That's probably a big reason.
Not making a joke of it, but I mean,
yeah, that's probably a big
yeah.
reason. And the whole town died out. And, you know, like Russian hockey is all east to west, and North American's north and south, right? So it was more finesse. It went back to European hockey rather than Canadian hockey.
Yes, absolutely.
So I think that's what made it die out a bit. It was kind of like the way it happened in Germany back in, you know, the early 2000s. You know, they're making tons of money, and then
Overall, you have a good time over there?
all I could say is the best thing was the money. It was the most depressing place to live. I mean,
Really?
the sun never
What was the
shone.
town called?
Chekhov.
Oh, I thought you were
Chekhov.
telling me something there.
He was telling you.
Oh, you were saying the name of the town. No, I thought he was saying F off. Okay, I'm just.
Chekhov. Chekhov.
So
yeah.
Chekhov?
Chekhov, yeah.
That's an interesting name.
Is Chekhov, Chekhov Warriors.
Right wing uniforms in the KHL.
Right on.
Basically, yeah. And then we actually Putin actually said my name on TV.
No way.
Yeah, there was a huge brawl that happened. I started with Yarmir Yager, and
Jeez.
and so I was in warm up, and then so in that league you're out first fight, so I get going, and then everybody starts fighting, so everybody's kicked out. And then the next shift, everybody goes, right. There wasn't enough players. Yeah, they don't have the 5-minute fight rule there. But everybody got kicked off the ice. There wasn't enough people to finish the game, so they had to call the game. And then Putin, on air, said that Canadian thugs, especially Brandon Sugden, ruined the thing. So I had the president of Russia.
All right, well, listen. I got to ask you one more thing. I got to say, will you consider coming back for a part 2?
I've
got my producer is about to throw a rock at me where I think we're like 20 minutes over the limit, but I needed to keep you this long because I'm that big of a supporter.
Okay, I need my stepson to come up here.
We're not done. So, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to introduce to you Sugar Jr. Sugar Jr. is his nickname.
Hi.
So Sugar Jr., I just have a couple questions for you, buddy. I'm really excited that you're here. So now, first of all, do you believe that the Toronto Maple Leafs will win the Stanley Cup this year?
No.
Oh, so, okay. So who will win the Stanley Cup? Who's your favorite team?
I have no idea.
Okay, well, all right.
He's a soccer fan.
You're a
He's
soccer fan. Who's your favorite soccer team, buddy? Do you like Messi's team? Or are you more of a European soccer guy?
Go for Italy.
Right on. Italy.
I like pretty much every team.
Yeah, right on, right on. All right, so just one more time, I'd just like you to state your name and what school you go to, buddy.
So my name is Steven and I go to St. Martha and Mary.
Oh, man, we got it. That's unbelievable. Thank you so much, Sugar Jr. That is unbelievable, buddy. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. So, I mean, I don't think we could have ended it any better than that. Sugar, if you have any shout-outs, you can say it, but that's unbelievable. I think I could do the mic drop right now after Sugar Jr.'s statement.
Well, I had a shout-out to my mother.
Oh, yes.
I hope she's doing good.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you know what? We're going to end it just like that, because just like his mother, my mother's the most important, so we're going to end it just like that. So, ladies and gentlemen, go get a clap. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for tuning in to another episode of The Sheriff. But before we go, guys, we just want to recognize a little bit of sponsorship. So, guys, yeah, we got a loud crowd. So, Zenpai.com dispensary, guys, they will be ready in a couple weeks for online orders. And, guys, Sin Bin Hockey, Bob and Jessica Langdon, this is a new apparel for hockey. Check it out. All their social media pages, Sin Bin Hockey, ladies and gentlemen. And I want to thank everybody for tuning in. We've had an incredible crowd here. This is one of my favorite episodes of all time, and we'll see you next time. Woo!
See you later.
It's the sheriff.